should be live. We should be live. We should be live. What is up, everyone? How's it going? I am tired beyond belief because it's a Tuesday, and if you know me, you know I cycle on a Tuesday. So there is that. I'm also trying to get on screen my live streaming software. I want that one here. And there we go. We chill, we vibe. I'm looking forward to this. How's everyone doing? And all that jazz. But today, we're finally starting Worlds. We had the opening series yesterday. Just gonna bass boost myself up a little bit. We had the opening series yesterday. BDS dismantling Golden Guardians. And today, we're going into our opening best of threes. PSG R7. This is game 2. I prepped it ahead of time. And we've also got another series on after it with Gam and Loud. Yikes on my behalf for that one. But we're getting into the first of 4 games tonight. Yeah. We've got a lot to talk to you about. So we're starting off PSG R7. Now, obviously we saw yesterday a lot of comfort coming through for the two teams. PSG R7. We may see a similar sort of train. However, PSG removing Lee Sin is sort of a removal of comfort. It's not a pick that I'd consider OP currently in the meta, so it's more of a oddie comfort pick. As for our some side of things, they're removing Rel and Senna, two very broken champs right now. Tristana's also one of those picks that's very, very, very kill hungry. Now PSG removing Poppy, that's going to remove something from Bong's pool, not allow that sort of denial of movement. So one thing we talked about yesterday being very prevalent as a pick was Rakan, and the fact Zyra is up and available, Kaiser's up and available, Tristana's also up and available. These ADC picks are very prevalent right now, and with mid lane AD being very strong, I think that this Tristana almost certainly should have been locked in there by PSG. Maple, though, is no more for his control mages. Obviously, when he was on TSM, played them out the wazoo. Very, very strong, to say the least. I've just realized a really good place to put my camera is here. Hi. Let's cover up that mid bit. Anyway, let's look at the rest of the draft so far. Currently looking at it, Jarvan coming through for PSG. They're looking to set up for ganks and early plays, as well as having control around area and allow a bit more ease for poke champions. As for R7, Renekton coming through. Very strong pick overall. And so is Ezreal. We saw it poking and harassing down targets yesterday. Very strong pick in terms of the amount of damage it can do into the late game. Response from PSG. If that gets put in, I'm liking this draft. Because you should realistically think it'll be immediately Zyra into Rakan as a pick phase. Just makes so much sense to get the Lovers Duo together and not like sacrificing it to second ban phase. Last pickup for R7. Maybe look for like a Talia. Something AP for the mid lane. And what do you know, if I'm on the ball today, that comes through. So what champs are left open? I think that PSG probably ban out Kaiser here in the second ban phase. R7. Mid lane picks, so Ari, Lissandra, Syndra, all readily available picks Azir also, something that I fear from Maple is his Azir, so that possibly could be banned. Orianna, also a pick I fear from Maple, because it is apparently very, very strong right now, being probably one of the most impacted or buffed control mages in the meta right now. So I like it being removed here. Sejuani removed by PSG. Kind of makes sense. Remove that combination of the Renekton and Sedge. You also are denying the bulky front line. I'm surprised PSG haven't removed an ADC here. But we may see that come through. Now, I'm not saying this is a possibility, but PSG could in theory flex the Jax top, lock Trist mid, and then go for an AP jungler like Lilia. You can't go for Briar, she's not available. Fiddle would work in that. Or Evelyn, but I don't think we'll see that coming out from R7. Instead, they're locking themselves a Viego to make their draft a little bit spicier, and it's surprising that they lock into Viego there. Wait, what am I on about? Ezreal was locked in. Why am I thinking going for ADC bans is a good idea? It's not. Nico, I like that for Maple. Does sort of fit his wheelhouse of champions. And personally, I do think that this draft so far for PSG, very, very heavy in the amount of team fighting potential. And if this gets locked in, they're looking for a wombo combo. Oh boy, you've got Cataclysm into Pop Blossom into Slicing Maelstrom. That is a combination of doom. Plus you got the quickness to route them up. This is arguably one of the most gruesome death balls I have seen in a while. And it's coming out in a Worlds ends game. Now, last pickup for R7 was Nautilus. No surprises in that. Nautilus, obviously, kind of one of the go-to engage supports. Now, it's not typically classed as a counter pick to Rakan. You usually think Lissandra or Leona for counter picks to Rakan. But it still does a job in setting up the rest of the team. Now, I don't know how much I like this pick, to be honest, because if you think about it, Nautilus into Kennen, you're pulling in something that can just kill your backline, and pro play, trigger fingers are quick. He's going to immediately press the Slicing Maelstrom, hopefully, or you think. He'd press that as he gets hooked. You've also got Jarvan, who you bring close. It's not a comp, realistically speaking, you want to be hooking into. And as a whole, I think BDS. As a whole, I think that the draft coming out from PSG is a lot, and I do mean a lot better than what R7 have. Now, as we enter the rift for this game, first game technically of Worlds 2023, we should see teams getting into a bit of a flow. This is where we start to see how these teams are played throughout the year. Because for me, we last saw PSG and R7 at MSI. None of them made it out of the play-ins, unless PSG did. But I'm pretty sure it was just the two Western teams that did for MSI. But here, I think you have to think about this. PSG, huge upgrade going into summer. Picking up Maple. This guy obviously stuck on TSM for the majority of the year and last. Came into this roster and he's looked phenomenal. Not lost a step since his previous time on PSG. It's like he was in NA for 3 or 2 splits and then came straight back to his home. It's stock standard Maple. And I don't think his time in NA really damaged his career. In fact, he looked very good on TSM. Even if they didn't do well overall, he was playing with basically a bunch of rookies. Now, let's get into this one. The game so far starts fairly standard as bot lane Hook's going to land, but the trade back is so heavily in favor of PSG. Like, they didn't lose too much, and that was quite a bit of aggression out from R7. Now, looking at jungle paths, it's red buff starts for both junglers, so they're wrapping rounds to the opposite sides of the map. Very standard, I guess you would say. Surprising Talon actually went on red buff first. Probably usual. I'm used to her starting blue, wrapping down into red, and then contesting bot lane for a play. But it's not Talon, it's Java. Never mind. My brain is mush today, so apologies for that. Anyway, Cannon early game, bullying the Renekton is very standard. Obviously, range into melee. Yada, yada, yada. You know the ordeal if you've watched any of my casts before, or my breakdowns. Hook's going to land onto the Rakan. This is a more favorable trade for R7. In fact, I like this one more than the first one. They burnt a lot of the damage. Well, they burnt a lot of the pots that PSG have, and are actually just getting a very decent sort of pressure onto this wave, because it's going to crash into the tower in a couple of seconds. Minion wave that's coming down lane isn't going to be anywhere near, so yeah, that's going to crash into tower and allow a reset for the R7 bot lane. Pick up a few more potions, a couple items maybe. It's going to be Sheen. That's actually a huge buy for the Ezreal. Surprising that he didn't go tier more than anything, because you want to get that stacked up early. But Sheen's always a good pickup. Turn that into Trinity Force. Get a lot of damage out from that. You've also then got the Mana Mune full of transformation that does a lot more. Basically, Ezreal is the epiphany of a 2-item spiking champion. And he's always been that, to be honest. Any item with tier, he's been very good with. And that is a very obvious statement. One of the most prolific Q spammers, apart from Zeri, in the game. And this is a nice ward spot in the back from PSG. So they're going to know that R7 are going to know PSG aren't in the area anymore. So this mid play, well, it's very obvious and spotted. This actually could be a counter gank. Jarvan's there, ready to go. Spotted, locked up into the air, flash burnt by Maple, but he knows he's got the advantage here because his jungler is going aggressive. Conqueror procced, but not going to be the kill. Overall, that's a good play for PSG. However, it's not in the long run, because only Maple's flash was burnt. That's a huge thing, because he's also behind in XP. Quite a decent chunk, to be honest. He needs to... But, obviously, he's backing right now. Wave is being denied in the tower. He's going to pick that one up, and finally. And, yeah, it's back to even with the XP. So, mid lane, about as even as it can be. Bot lane, bit of aggression once again. It's support hooking support, and you know, not going to result in much because Rakan obviously can Q onto targets, heal himself back up as well as his ally. there's a lot more sustain through the PSG bot lane comparative to R7, even though technically there's a shield, as that's going to be a good use of the Arcane Shift to avoid the engage, but Desert Cleanse and the Ignite burnt down onto Wacko. He's forced very low, and the flash out from Woody keeps himself alive. Bot lane for PSG getting exceptionally low, and with Talia starting to roam, the possibilities of a tower dive is there for R7. They've taken the Drake, they're down here, but it looks like there's not going to be any sort of aggression to this bot lane. And back to mid goes Miryu, and you've also got Oddie taking a reset. Now, that being said, PSG, while obviously taking a little bit of damage, losing soldiers across the rift, they are starting to mount a little bit of a CS advantage bar the jungle in every lane. And possibly bot lane. That's a bit more favourable to R7 right now. But basically the CSDs starting to get into a prolific position if you are R7 in terms of dealing with PSG as this game goes on. I need to sort this webcam positioning out, so apologies. There we go. But basically, it's important to note this top lane has just been very dominant for RZ, who's been able to keep constant pressure. I'm actually surprised, as that's going to be the Rakan locked up. The seismic shove goes wide, and the Rakan still stays alive, as a Heartbreaker isn't going to get the kill. PSG getting lucky there. Woody almost fell victim to that play, but let's be honest, misplay out from R7 there. Miryu really should have hit that seismic shove. Got a bit too greedy. I think he was trying to get Maple out of that play as well, but hey, not going to result in any deaths just yet. 9 minutes into the game. I mean, I'm going to be brutally honest, I'd expect possibly a longer one, considering the teams are obviously first game on stage, first game of Worlds. Nerves got to be out the roof, as that's going to be a dredge line landing. That's going to depth charge on top of it. But the combo out from Jarvan puts them into the slicing maelstrom, and that Nautilus is going to fall. It's actually going to be a trade jungler for support. But PSG going aggressive, and Support Blossom just does nothing. Double kill goes over to CEO, and that is PSG getting decimated in the Rift Herald pit. Honestly, at this point in the game, not enough damage coming out from PSG as a great reply. That's actually going to keep them very much in this game. But there wasn't enough damage out from PSG in that river fight. It looked good after the catch out by R7, but it just fell apart. As essentially, play gets kicked off. Leon's lands a good hook onto the jungler, gets the full combo out of the Nautilus. He gets then tagged by a Slicing Maelstrom, but the Slicing Maelstrom's only hitting Naut. It's not hitting any of the big damage dealers, and that means that R7 get to clean up everyone on PSG's side. It does take some heroics out from RZ, getting a good stun and lockdown onto Seo, but that's heroics, not basically winning the game. And that's the thing. PSG managed to get a bit of a lead, or let's say it this way, RZ managed to get a bit of a lead on his own, getting a CSD advantage over Bong, but he hasn't really had a high amount of impact. Sure, he now has 2 kills. He managed to get one on the Nautilus and then on to the Ezreal. But as a whole, his impact needs to be huge as this game goes on. But whether or not he shows that is going to be a different story. And it's going to have to rely on the rest of his team getting the rest of the combo set up for him. You think the Pot Blossom, you think the quickness into Grand Entrance, and then Cataclysm on top of it. Realistically speaking, PSG should be able to delete a health bar. The issue is their burst is all AP. Granted, you could class the Feather Pullback as an AD burst, but as a whole, the combination that PSG can put out should be... It's not at that stage where they should be looking to teamfight. They need a little bit of time to get their items in. Only one mythic is on the board for them, and that is on their 2-0 Kennen. They need to realistically have their... whatever the first item for Nico is, Shigo and Rocket Belt as well. Bit of a weird one having double Rocket Belt, but I'd personally prefer Ludent. Get a bit of extra burst, because you need that as a motorbike goes by. Gore Drinker is going to be the buy for the Jarvan. Personally, would have preferred maybe a bit more of a tankier Jarvan. Obviously, tank items aren't the best nowadays. I just think that you should realistically have a Xayah who's going to be playing quite safe. So you need to have the frontline capabilities to deny any backdoor entrance, and if you're not bulky enough, you will just get deleted. And Gore Drinker does provide a bit of resistance. You get the extra health, you get sustained through the healing of the usage, but going for like maybe even Heartsteel, granted, not the best in competitive. Jack Shao, Frozen Mallet, or Frozen Gauntlet, Iceborne Gauntlet, whatever it's called nowadays. Basically, going for something like that, have a bit more tanky, like, resistance, because you think they've got triple AD damage dealers, the Viego, the Renekton, and the Ezreal. Having a bit of armor would be beneficial to the champion. This is so dumb. But having some resistance would be beneficial to him. And I think maybe going Randuin's or Frozen Heart, get a bit of attack speed reduction, slow armor. Something along those lines will be very good for him, as Viego could be caught out, locked up, knocked up into the air. Quickness used, but the trade's going to come out from R7 quicker to the play. Cataclysm thrown out as Xayah is throwing the feathers, trying to get the kill onto Miryu. Feather Storm's not going to land, and the Grand Entrance is also thrown out, but will not result in a kill just yet. Seismic Shove denies the Xayah's advancements, but in the end, it is not enough, and PSG get a trade 1-for-1. That could have honestly been bad for PSG. It was looking to get bad because Viego actually got a transformation there. And I thought Xayah was going to be probably bursted out if the chase came through from R7 there. As we watch it again, it's just Oddie getting caught. Bong locks in the air, but you see the fact that the CC chain isn't long enough for PSG at this stage of the game. So it allows Oddie to escape. Oh, he didn't take the Hex Gate. That's surprising. If Oddie took the Hex Gate there, he more than likely would have got onto the backline or the bot laners for PSG. It's a TP top from top lane. Got cancelled. That explains a lot as to why Kennen didn't come. And because you cancelled his TP, you are falling to the PSG squad. Never mind. Getting my hopes up. Over chasing, could we say. PSG now forced into a bad situation. 3 members top, giving up pressure in the mid lane. Should be the tower falling off of this. But the engage, the Pot Blossom hits onto 3. The backline of R7 is bursted out. Renekton, you've TP'd in to a bad situation. R7 sacrifice everything for the mid lane tier 1, and that's going to result in Herald to PSG. What an amazing Nico ultimate coming out from Maple. Very prolific on control mages and very prolific in this game so far. Gold difference favors R7 at this stage, but with this Herald, you have to think PSG gonna crack open a few turrets here. Already got Kennen pushing in the top lane. He's probably gonna get that as up comes Junjai, looking to give some protection to Azzy, who secures the first tower for PSG. This Kennen, while hasn't been impactful in teamfights, he's certainly in an advantageous position to the game. He's able to pressure onto the map. And R7, who do you send up into him? Because right now, Bong probably won't survive the full Kennen burst in a 1v1. It's actually surprising the Kennen's gone for the Oblivion Orb. But right now, this is looking like a bad place to be if you are Oddie. He gets absolutely deleted by PSG. The Pot Blossom landed, and Maple gets a kill onto Leon's. What a fight so far, and it's looking to get worse as Azzy catches out Bong. Not going to result in a kill. And PSG looking to up the tempo of the game, looking to secure themselves this mid lane tier 1 and give a lot of gold over to Wacko and Azzy, the 2 people you ideally want the gold on. Going to be securing this mid lane tier 1 for PSG. Never mind. It's not even going to fall. What am I on about? So close, but so far. It's actually about 2 cannon minion shots off from falling. But we watch this again. Maple, he sees the root land, flash into Rocket Belt, secures the lockup onto the CEO. He gets killed off by his opposite number. Then Oddie oversteps into PSG's jungle. Doesn't expect the collapse to come through, and while the Pot Blossom isn't the one to secure the kill, it would have certainly done so. Then, because the Pot Blossom does land onto Leon's, he falls, and PSG get a double kill in that play. Technically a triple kill across the 2 parts of that replay. But yeah, PSG fighting back, taking the lead back for themselves, and with that tower falling, it's starting to get a bit more gruesome. Literally about 17-18 minutes into the game, PSG taking control of the map. And look at the items. You've got a decent stack of damage overall for all of PSG. And that Jarvan, I presume, is building Black Cleaver with that set of components in his inventory. As the whole clan's onto him, he's getting collapsed on by the entirety of R7. He flashes over the wall, but he is chased down by Oddie, securing a kill onto his opposite jungler. This is good for R7. They're responding to plays, to positioning. They're not giving up areas in the map, which I like. It means PSG can't invest their wards higher up the rift, because R7 are denying them access to this river. This is very smart, League of Legends. Like, sure, you're kind of spotted in your bags and how you're wanting to do things, but you are essentially setting up on the rift a very, very dominant position. As this is just a great hook from Leon's. Denies the flag and drag, and just then the full burst potential from the Ezreal and the Viego can land pretty freely onto a helpless jungler who burns his flash on top of essentially everything. The issue though is R7's ability to answer side lanes is very, very limited right now. They don't have the same sort of strength that the champions on PSG side who want to be split pushing. Kennen's just going to be a menace and probably left in isolation for the rest of the game in that top lane. And essentially whenever a wave crashes into tower, it should be a response as Maple. He's in a bad place, but the Pot Blossom lands onto the right target. Talia forced to flash out. The Slicing Maelstrom also forces spells, as that's the top laner and the mid laners for both team in the bot lane, but Cannon somehow falls. We don't get to see that as mid lane re-engage comes out from PSG, gonna secure themselves a double kill. Ezreal gonna trade one back for himself. PSG winning out in that play in the mid lane, but in bot lane, it looks like an absolute dismantling of the Cannon. CEO stepping forward, getting aggressive on his own. He knows he's got the health advantage, and he denies Wacko's back. But we watch this bot play. Yeah, it's just the collapse. It looks like Maple's going to die. It's a great Pot Blossom, and a lot of damage put down onto Mirio, forcing him to flash, because that Slicing Maelstrom chase down would have been so huge. But Kennen oversteps. He goes way too far, puts himself right in front of Renekton, and he's just able to lock him up. And the burst combo coming out from the Talia and Renekton denies essentially all the potential that PSG have. Then in the mid lane, it's just Wacko doing Wacko things alongside his jungler. They get a nice combination of roots from the feathers as well as just the flag and drag, doing tons of damage, and the healing coming out from that Gore Drinker, keeping Junjai in a very safe position. Now, the gold swing has gone back to even. So we're in a very, very close game, all things considered. Later it goes. I kind of have to favor R7. Their draft obviously has a lot of poke and harassment. And with objectives being the name of the game, kind of have to feel if they get set up around any of them, they're more than likely going to be able to deny any sort of entrance for PSG, deny any form of that combination that they want to go for. And that's something you have to think about that last play. There was no real combination of spells out from PSG. I mean, they tried to do it in the bot lane, but it was flashed out of. It wasn't perfect to get either the Renekton or the Talia under tower. And you have to think, if PSG played it a bit more spaced out, if Ozzy didn't go headfirst in without vision, that probably would have been just the mid lane kills going through. And the reason I didn't say back away is because if PSG's top and mid backed away there, then R7's counterparts would essentially have just gone straight to the mid fight and made it a 5v3. And with the fact that RZ did TP down there, it kind of meant that the play would have been a huge loss, as Wacko could be caught out. Never mind, it's just gonna be Oddie walking headfirst to his doom. The Slicing Maelstrom comes out and forces stopwatches. The Pot Blossom just deletes the health bars of the PSG backline, and R7 are deleted from the rift. PSG looking to crack open the base of R7 after that one. What a fight. Amazing from PSG. Flip of a switch. They catch out the right targets. They get aggressive. Get themselves out of the base. Secure themselves an inhib in the mid lane. And you have to think the Purple Worm of Truth is where they're heading to straight away after that one. But the chase could come through. Oddie, he's stepping forward. Maple waiting for him, ready to just deny him. It's actually the clone that's there. But Oddie, he's spotted the control wards, lighting him up, not allowing him into the Baron pit. The Weaver's Wall keeps PSG in the pit, and they're looking to get away. Bong not going to go overly aggressive. Instead, it's going to be PSG getting back to safety. As we watch this one again, it's essentially Oddie trying to secure vision for his team. Walks headfirst into Wacko. The Blade Caller comes through and he's just deleted. Slicing Maelstrom does work. Forces Miryu into status. And just PSG get a lot done as the top half of the fight. That's going to be Pop Blossom already used. Cataclysm thrown out onto Seo. He's forced to get away with the flash. PSG looking to go aggressive as the Flying Drag continues to push forward. Oddie taken very low, but the Rakan, he's still got quickness, and that's going to allow Wacko to go unstoppable. R7 forced to retreat back to the safety of their base, having secured themselves a Drake. PSG now going to use this pressure that they've got killing off the jungler. They're going to get themselves this bot lane tier 2, and the map is to be seeded here by R7. PSG are a lot stronger at this stage of the game. Team fights are doom if you're R7. You cannot get them in a clump up ball. And that's an issue. It means that PSG get to group up. They get to push the pressure. And R7 can't really do anything about it. They've got the poke, but it's not that strong. It's tickling the health bars of PSG. As the engage comes through, Featherstorm forced out, but that is a great root caller. Forces Leon's low, ticking, burning to the ignite, and he falls. PSG on the victory march, heading straight towards the Nexus towers, heading straight towards the Nexus. The Cataclysm lands, the Pop Blossom lands. That is a dead Talia. And in fact, it's a dead Renekton falling to the Rakan. 3-1 and 11 for a support, baby. What a game this is. Great engage coming out from him. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. Rakan needs to get removed from these games. Simple as that. What a great way to end that one. Just a flip of a switch. PSG becomes sentient and just go aggressive against their opponents. I can't think of a more interesting way for the game to get spicy, basically. And, you know, with that in mind, that's only game 1. We've got another one today. In game 2, we're hoping, kind of praying for a similar sort of story. Now, surprisingly, R7's stay on red. Kind of favoring the counter picks, even though power picks are kind of the story of what we've seen. As ban phase comes through, Nico put onto it by R7 and the Jarvan clearly don't want to face that combination once again. I'm personally not opposed to how they've banned it, but Talia's up and available, Azir's up and available. If PSG want to go towards their mid laner, they could go towards their mid laner. Instead, they're going to put Preface on arguably the most prevalent jungler in the league. This year, Maokai been an absolute menace and going to be picked up here for PSG. And probably Junjai. I mean, it is a flex, don't get me wrong, but it is prevalent in the jungle. R7's response: will they go for Desire Rakan for themselves? It's a combination that's very, very deadly. And I think if you go for it right now, when you lock in Desire, you kind of have to lock the Rakan. They aren't going to do so. Instead, they're going to get themselves a pick that was banned out in the last game, Sejuani. They're going to match engage for engage. I'm not a big fan of Sedge as a jungle pick right now in the meta. You kind of not got the same sort of prevalence that Maokai does. And you're kind of just there to body block. More than anything, you don't have an insane amount of input. But this is looking a lot like a summer draft from PSG. Jace coming through for probably Maple. I mean, Arzi probably will play it. I'm not entirely sure on his champion pool. But Maple, more than likely is going to get that pick. Unless we see a Tristana locked in here, then I'm not too sure. PSG hovering the Rakan, locking it in as well, denying the Lovers Duo. This is why I'd prefer Rakan over Sejuani at this stage. Because this draft so far, in my opinion, from R7 sucks. I'm going to say it, it sucks. I'm going to also check Woody's champ pool for the year. Like, right now. And the reason I'm checking it is because... Spoilers. I don't think he plays Maokai. He doesn't. It's not in his champ pool this year. Last year? No, when it was technically prevalent last year. Has he had a professional game on this champion? No. So, the fact is, Maokai isn't a pool pick for Woody. It's not a flex. If you're R7, you should probably know that. I'm pretty sure you would have done your research on the pool of champions each player plays. If not, why not? Logic. But personally, locking in Sedge makes no sense there. It could have honestly have gone to pick 3. And you could have got the Lovers Duo locked in first rotation, which makes the most sense. Because now you just allow PSG to break it up. You know that Woody plays it. He played it against you just then. And he fucking dominated you with it. I don't like the fact that you've allowed it through. PSG just get so much more value from this draft. And it's annoying to say that. Instead, you're now having to play second fiddle and go Nautilus again. Which, don't get me wrong, did set up picks. It's just not the same. Now, I'm not technically breaking down the full game here. I'm only going to do the draft, highlight the mistakes, and then we'll look at one team fight from this game. Because this is quite a long one. And then we're going to end stream and go into the second series. Literally in a few minutes after we break down the team fight. But essentially, draft so far from R7 is like, oh, they're basically saying they don't know what you play apart from what you showed us last game. It's like nuts that this draft is happening. I'm gonna be brutally honest with how draft has been all year. I think you drop the rel ban. Teams ban it out constantly, but drop it, secure yourself Maokai. The pick is a monster. And you either force the opponents to ban the rel, or you ban it and essentially get a freebie. Not you ban it. You basically give them over Maokai for free. It's such a shocking draft this year. I think drafting as a whole from all regions has kind of sucked beyond belief. That's my personal take on drafting 2023. That's really annoying me that I'm not central. Or if I am, it's not good enough. There we go. But yeah, I'm not a fan of how draft is. If that's not abundantly clear. think teams or coaches need to learn how to draft a lot better. EU, we kind of suck at drafting. Here at Worlds, I mean, this is a play-ins, so not the top, the creme de la creme. I think draft will still suck across all teams. But you need to think about how to play it. So far, our 7's bans have been, we don't like you playing these champs. And don't get me wrong, I like the Ezreal ban to round it out. You deny him a strong pick. But what? There's Senna up and available. No one's been confident to whip that one out yet. Don't get me wrong, I think we'll probably see it come through from the teams in the group stage. But hey, what do I know? What do I know? PSG. That's a blind pick, Cassante. I like that. It's a safe pick. You actually can flex it still. With the fact to go mid into or top. It's a good pick. I like that one from R7. Because it makes PSG show their hand. Because it forces Jace to be shown into what role he's going. That rumble comes through. It tells me that Jace is top. Not top, mid. And that means that Cassante can either be flexed into the rumble or the Jace. Now, whether or not Miriu and Bog both played a pick, I'm not too sure about. Still, I don't know these guys' picks. PSG. I don't know. Kaiser here. Aphelios. Sivir. Aphelios into this comp. Personally, I prefer the Sivir. It's just a little bit better for safety. I think ADC should be prefacing safety in the current meta. Or a ruthless aggression. Aphelios is the more aggressive pick, but you low mobility pick. And with the comp R7 have, the amount of skills and abilities that deny or are very good against low mobility ADCs is quite high. It's going to be a lot of relying on the Rakan to peel for you. And that may not even come through. You've, to be fair, got a decent amount of peel with the Maokai, with the Jace and the Rakan. So who knows? Maybe I'm just used to having bad players in my games. That's probably a thing. But let's be honest here. The draft coming through for... Nice, a high casual sign. But let's be honest, the draft coming out for PSG is a very strong team fighting comp. You got Poke in there as well. You've got a lot of pick potential with that Maokai and zone control. I think that PSG have a very favorable draft. Low, I was going to say low in AP damage, but then I forget about the Rumble that kind of equalizes it. And after game 1, Oddi's performance on a... Not Oddie, Ozzy's performance on a AP pick did wonders for him. Now, let's look at the fight from this game. And I closed GOL stupidly. Don't know why. But this one, very interesting. Because as a whole, what we saw was Rumble is basically a lot of deaths. And the fact that Robo got... Actually, I'm looking at the wrong game, that's why. Should have probably have noticed it was the wrong game. There, that's the one we want to click on. Movistar R7. Or Rainbow 7. Whatever you want to call them. But we look at this game as a whole. Game 2. Maple popped off. Very low turret plating game. It was actually quite close looking on paper. But it just seems like Maple got fed. That has to be him. Yeah. It's one of them weird games when mid lane gets everything. Jace collapse. Very minimalistic red. Let's have a look at this 29-minute fight. What happened? Because clearly something must have triggered them to go aggressive. Like, they secured themselves Drake. Okay, here we go. They're pushing topside with the Baron. Nature's Grass thrown out to deny anything. That's a great equalizer, ticking away at Miryu's health bar. Demonic Embrace also picked up. And that's just damage thrown out onto Seos by Maple. Overstep from Oddie. Did it in game 1 with Viego, causing him to get bursted out. Maple dodging out with the hammer form. Huge waste of spells as the engage comes through. Good knockback with a Bramble Smash. They're burning all their spells here, R7. Like, their ultimates are all mostly on cooldown. That's a great hook, forcing the stopwatch out. But the fact is, PSG haven't really burnt anything. They burnt the Moonlight Vigil. That's about it. And then the engage now comes through. It's just clean. They get everything when they land a wombo combo. They forced all the spells out from R7, who try to collapse onto Maple, but they're not respecting the collapse, and PSG just come through. They wait for the right time to strike, and just get everything. It's just a great play overall. I think that's the story of this game, is A, overstepping from R7, put them in bad places, and then PSG just capitalizing on them, and knowing how to play the map, shall we say, and control the map. But yeah, that's my take on this series. Now, the great thing about this format for play-ins is it's double elim, so we will see R7 again against Gam, I believe, maybe? I'm not sure. They're against either Gam or someone else that loses. Only time will tell, basically. But hey, that's going to be it for... That's going to be it for this one. I'm tired and got home exceptionally late, so I can't really do a second series. I'm contemplating it, actually. If it's just one game, it's 2 games, but they are quite long. Tomorrow it's that. Let's have a look at all esports, because that'll tell me something. Well, PSG. So tomorrow you are getting a stream. Thursday. Am I busy Saturday? I think I am, but I can try not to be. I'm thinking about how we do this week, sorry. So Sunday, you're probably getting a triple stack of games. Because you'll get all of Saturday's and some of Sunday's games as well. Then the 19th. When is the 19th? That Monday? Okay, we get a break. Okay, so what's going to happen is I will put this Loud game tomorrow. We'll basically push one of the games over to the next day. So tomorrow you will get Loud and the other one. You'll also get the DFM CFO series. Thursday you'll get BDS Team Wells, PSG Loud, and then what the other TBD, and then R7 GAM. On Friday you probably will get all three. I may pull it back on Friday. Who knows at this point. I'm gonna tomorrow, this is a heads up, do the prediction. Actually, fuck it. We'll do it now. We'll do it now. We've got time to. I just went on a rampage for no reason. You're only getting the one team game, unfortunately. Broken down. So here we go. I'm gonna pause here. What the? Gonna pause here and come back to you on a new stream with a new title, new everything. See you guys in a minute.